They're all saving one, or most of the Hampshire fielders are saving one. Somerset need one run. It's Edwards to Hildreth. He's there and bowls Hildreth, and he gets the run away through the onside, and Somerset have won. They've won the Royal London One Day Cup.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this morning, I've got Steve Tancock, Dan Kingdom, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. And well, gents, it was never in doubt. Somerset securing their Division 1 status for 2023 with a game to spare, with a 352-run victory over Northants, who... Is it fair to say they look like they want to get up the road a bit early and beat the traffic on Friday afternoon, or are we doing them a bit of a disservice?
Well, I think once the first wicket had gone down, they did rather collapse like a house of cards. And I thought at lunchtime it might be over fairly quickly afterwards, and so it proved. But Somerset were very, very good. You know, take nothing away from the way Somerset played. They were as good in this last game as they've been all season, and as good as they've been in recent seasons, especially when you consider that Lewis Gregory couldn't bowl. So it was and Jack Leach wasn't available. So it was a very, very good performance.
Yeah, I mean,
saving the best till last.
Yeah, definitely. I remember thinking back to the despair around the supporters and the members and the players when we just got bowled up by Hampshire in a session, and you know, it was really feeling like doom and gloom there, but for a while. But Steve, they got themselves back on track, made themselves difficult to beat, and avoided the dreaded drop with a game to spare.
I was almost annoyed that people were pleased we were staying up in a bonkers sort of way, because I don't think we should have been in that position, and it proves we are a really good team and can punch well, above our weight, compete, whatever word you want to use in this division. My worry is still that the Somerset with Craig Overton in it and the Somerset without Craig Overton in it are two very different beasts at the moment, and that's something we've got to resolve, because we cannot expect the big fella to carry us on his shoulders. And I know there are others contributed with the bat, but he was the difference maker for me in this game. His bowling in the first innings was hostile, threatening, the sort of stuff that I doubt Northants have seen very much of this season. And second innings, the wickets were shared around, but there was no doubt he was a big, it's that I'll bat up the other end factor, wasn't it? Tom Abel, again, absolutely outstanding. Must be lovely. I think Anthony said on commentary a couple of times, must be so nice to come in with 100 on the board rather than three on the board, and then see it's 3 for 2 before you face the ball or something. But yeah, that's the worry for me. I'll say it again: when you think you've got enough quick bowlers, sign another couple, and it's looking that way for me. If Craig's going to be carrying drinks for England for the Ashes next summer, I know we don't know the schedule exactly and whether that'll affect championship games, but you really got to worry for Lewis Gregory if his back's flared up again. Can we rely on Abel and Lammonby to be the fourth bowler all season? If we can, great, but we still got to find, we need Josh Davey, Casey Aldridge, Siddle back. I'm looking ahead, but it's a concern to me for next year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've watched Craig's first spell in that Northants first innings from I sort of sat up on the Thatcher's terrace right behind the bowler's arm, and it just looked to me like he had 6 or 7 weeks, however long it's been, of pent up frustration and rage and itchy feet just all exploded into that opening spell. And it wasn't just his bowling as well, he was just all over the place. I think he was trying to run somebody out after the umpire called over. That was quite funny. After I think it was an LBW appeal returned in the negative. He was just all over the place, and yeah, it just
and catching as well.
Catching both things. Yeah, just an incredible performance from Big Craig. How much were you able to keep an eye on, Dan?
Yeah, I managed to watch the stream a couple of days. I sort of had it in the background while I was working from home. Yeah, I thought it was a very good game of first-class cricket, which went, to the fourth day, unlike all the other games in our division. Somerset obviously were generally on top throughout the game. Abel, I think, is the first time he's ever made 2 centuries in a game. It potentially caps off maybe his best ever season. I think in terms of number of runs, I think it is. I don't think he's got 1,000 before, has he?
No, he hasn't.
No. So, and yeah, as you were saying, Craig Overton, he makes such a difference when he plays. All 3 of our wins this season came when Craig was playing. It's no coincidence. It was just a complete performance, really. The last day, I think I went into it probably expecting a draw on balance, but I didn't factor in the fact that Northants. It's very easy to say that they didn't give 100%, didn't care, etc., etc. But I think there was an element of that. Like, it's very easy to say that when a team loses, they didn't care, but there probably was an element of it, and they do have previous. Last year at Chelmsford, there was in the final game of the year at Chelmsford last year, Northants lost in about a day in a session. And the pitch was probably part of that.
Everybody loses in a day in a session at Chelmsford now. That's how it works.
Again, I think there was an element of Northants just sort of being like, well, they were pretty much done with the season. Last year it was dead, wasn't it? It was Division 2 was irrelevant. This year they secured their status, so they probably didn't care too much.
If they'd needed a draw to stay up on Friday, that game would not have been over at 2:15. You can guarantee that.
Yeah, 100%.
Tom Abel, then. We say he needs to score more hundreds to catch the eye of the England selectors. Well, he scored, 5 or 6 this year? 5, I think?
5.
Can he do any more?
He can't really, can he? And I think the way he batted, and situationally, the way he batted in both innings was very different. And he batted superbly situationally in both innings. He seems now to be able to assess the tempo. If you just had a teeny weeny criticism of him before he probably discovered that he can play white ball cricket, that innings on Thursday was a Tom Abel with the white ball confidence to me. It was just, you look on the scorecard and you see how many balls he faced. And he made Lammerby look like he was batting in concrete, didn't he? And Lammerby wasn't batting in concrete. It was just wonderful. Everyone will say, yeah, well, that's the county championship and he's got to do it at the higher level. We'll give him a chance, let him skip for an A tour over the winter or better, and see what he can do. But I think he's got such a good cricket brain and his confidence must be sky high now as well. And it's fantastic to see, Somerset side with Lammerby, Abel and Bartlett all scoring runs makes for a very happy Steve, I have to say, and Tom Abel's preeminent among those 3.
Yeah, definitely. Watching him bat on Thursday night, I had to go because I had to take the kids have got rainbows and beavers and cubs and all sorts on Thursday night, so me and the missus were driving all over the shop, dropping them around. But I didn't, so unfortunately I wasn't there to watch Lammerby or Abel get their hundreds on Thursday night, which is a bit disappointing. But I think I left when he was on about 18. When you're just watching a player and then all of a sudden you look up, he's on 50. How did he do that? And then you look at the balls he's faced and it was off maybe, 50 balls, whatever it was. It was just incredible. And that, when you talk about the tempo, Steve, I think you're absolutely right. He just looked in control. I think there was only one big shot he played on that Thursday night before I left. He sort of slog sweat one over Cow towards the Andy Cannick Pavilion, but just an incredible knock. We've lost Gibbo for a minute. I'm sure he'll jump back on in. But good runs for Bartlett as well, who I thought was a little bit unlucky with the way that he got dismissed. He left one outside the off stump that from Rob Keogh.
He got hit, didn't he? The throw hit him on the helmet, and he seemed to be a bit shaken up by that. And he clearly passed the concussion protocols the next day, but he was a bit shaken up, I think, and that accounted for his dismissal as well. But he was batting as George Bartlett, his best bats, and sort of like, it just flows, doesn't it, when he bats like that? It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous to watch. And the 3 of them are actually quite similar in a way in that they can bat very doggedly, but they can also, when they need to, bat really fluently. And I mean, credit to Lammerby as well. And he was so happy. It was, you said about Craig having pent up frustration. I think Lammerby's was pent up relief when Anthony interviewed him on the Thursday evening. That it was like, I know I can do this, and I've done it, and I can keep doing it. But I seem to remember, I think Dan tweeted as well, he seems to like the last game of the season at Taunton because he got 100, a really good 100 against Lancashire last year. Yeah, in a much different outcome and result and situation there. But no, great stuff to see. And, I was thinking with the two incoming batsmen as well, where does that leave us in terms of batting? And I think that's not for now, but that's when the Lewis Gregory conversation comes in, because you're going to play for Somerset. It looks like you're going to have to play as a batsman in Champo cricket going forward. And, we've got, don't forget, we've got Banton, Goldsworthy and Rue as well. That's probably the best young six English batsmen in the country in any county side. So let's be positive as it's a nice sunny Sunday morning.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just what I said about Bartlett was he left one that hit a little bit of a pizza, as Jack Brooks called it, a bit of rough, and then the next ball he just overstretched, I think, trying to overcompensate for that and just nick the outside edge. But Bartlett's looking good. Everyone's scoring runs. The only possible negative from the match, Lewis Goldsworthy only 22, but then he's 21. I think things are looking rosy, and as you say, Steve, there's going to be a lot of us. There's going to be a massive selection headache come April next year. So certainly not a meeting that I want to be.
And when we sign Jake Libby as well, it's going to be even harder.
Yeah, Sean Dixon, that came out this week, didn't it? After we recorded last, didn't it?
Yeah, it was the morning of day one of the Northants game.
I mean, it came as a total shock to me. I don't know about you guys, but
Anthony's probably known since about May. Just kept it.
I've known for about a month. Mark Davies told me first of all, and then Martin Emerson, the Durham commentator, texted to say that did I know that Sean Dixon was joining Somerset, and that must have been 3 weeks ago. So the secret's been pretty well kept.
It's been a good.
How good a signing is, I don't know, but I haven't seen much of Sean Dixon.
He averages big average in second division cricket, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's averaging 54 this year. Although I think if you look at it, he's got a lot of those runs at the start of the season, and he has tailed off. But his career average is 35, which is solid, which is better than most of our current players. He had a solid stint with
actually at Canterbury and Chesterton Street, Dan. That's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. He's not he's not going to pull up. He's not going to dominate the world with us, but he should be a solid opener for us, I think. He's part of the sort of the competition for places we've got now. He might not always play. We've got so many options now that it's good to have this competition, but hopefully it doesn't lead to sort of any of our younger guys leaving, because Will Smith obviously wants to play 4-day cricket. So there's a lot of competition in the batting now, but it's potentially necessary because our batting's been a problem for years, so we couldn't do nothing about it, I suppose. But
yeah, we can't really sit here and go, our batting's terrible, Oh, they've signed all these batsmen. Well, they got too many batsmen now. What are we going to do? Yeah. It's mad. I like the signing as well. I think we need to keep a sort of a solid position a solid partnership at the top of the order. I think the previous seasons where we've signed overseas batters, particularly for September, we've kind of had to rejig the order to accommodate them. Yeah. I think having that homegrown, settled group of batters in a set order with set roles, I think is absolutely invaluable. Bowlers you can be a little bit more flexible with. It's generally, if you sign in a seam bowler, well, does it matter if they open the bowling or bowl first change? Generally not, but I think with batters, if you're in that set order with those set roles, it can only be a positive. So I'm incredibly happy with that. Rumours that we may be re-signing Peter Siddle are growing.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
Yeah.
I like Jack Leach's comment when he said you were talking. Anthony was talking to him on whatever day it was, and he was saying, and he just went, "Yeah, we sent him home broken." And I thought that's very much a county seam bowler's end of season statement, wasn't it? We're all broken, but he was always particularly proud that we sent this tough Aussie who's played Shield cricket and Test cricket all around the world. And
broken
season with Somerset, and we sent him home broken. Yeah, I think the other thing to say, Shep, is that Renshaw is clearly being encouraged to push to open for Australia. And the stuff I've seen tweets about and comments about the sort of build up to the Australian season, and it would have been foolish to have assumed that Renshaw would be available in an Ash this summer anyway. So much as we love Matt Renshaw, we probably have done the wise thing and said we need somebody to, if Lammonby is going to continue to open, we need somebody to bat at the top. And the fact we've got somebody who's, unless Sean Dixon scores 3 triple hundreds in the first 2 weeks of the season, he's probably not going to get a Ashes to call that. So that probably is a very, very shrewd bit of business.
Where does this leave poor old Andy Umeed, though? I mean, why did we sign Andy Umeed if Andy Hurry had Sean Dixon?
Well, you've ruined him anyway, Gibbo. You've called him a limited front foot blocker.
I feel
they probably listened.
I didn't call him that. That's what Mark Davies said.
But, well, my opinion on it is, if you have 3 openers in a squad and one of them gets injured, then you've got another opener. If you've only got 2, then you have to play somebody out of position. You have to ask somebody like Ben Green to do it again. I think it's a perfectly sensible move. I mean, if it's in the playing budget, do it.
Would you have Imam back if they said that Imam signed for the whole of next season? And I'm not even thinking about test schedules here. Just hypothetically, what would the 3 of you think about Imam, Dixon being the opening partnership and Lammonby batting at 5 or something next year?
I think we might be going too far then in terms of signing new batters and constraining opportunities for our own guys, for our homegrown players a bit too much. And like I can't see us signing an overseas batter as well next year. Imagine, we've got 6, we've got a top 6 now. Taking out 3 of them for 3 new players just feels a bit much. I think we'll probably sign, as I said, we might sign Siddle and then maybe sign another overseas pace bowler, or even look at an overseas spinner, maybe for September. It depends on Leach's availability, but obviously we've got Roloff as our backup spinner, but we don't have a second specialist 4-day spinner, do we, at the moment? So we might look to do a bit like maybe what Gloucestershire have done, and Gloucestershire have got Zafar Gohar. They've had him for the whole season. He's not always played, but he's always there and available. So we might look to do something similar, I suppose.
We could desperately do, Dan, with having either Ned Leonard or Sonny Baker having a season next year like Casey's had this year. That would really help. If we can, I don't know what they're going to do over the winter, but if the 2 of them can go and have a good winter and come back fit and firing, even if you got the 2 of them playing alternate games or something, that would be a huge help with, Jack Brooks, Josh Davey, and say Siddle to supplement Overton, because as I keep saying, I'm really worried about Lewis now. We were told he'd had this surgery and that was going to sort his back. You can imagine we're going to hear that he's going to have more surgery or something in the near future, can't you? But it's got to be at times a bit like my knee, because ironically, I should have said this, I missed the end of the Taunton County Championship season because in that 15 or 20 minutes, I was actually at the doctor's having my dodgy knee looked at and assessing what I've got to do next with it. So my watch was tapping away, telling me that wickets were falling, but I missed it. I came out and it was all over. Those last 3 wickets were that quickly.
Well, I nearly missed it as well, Steve, because I was what I've been doing I was trying to get all my work, as much work as I can done in the morning, and then go up to Taunton with my laptop after lunch. And Sod's law, we ended up taking 5 wickets before lunch on the Friday, and then I think there were 2 more before I got to the ground, because something just as you're about to go out the door, something always bloody goes wrong at about 25 past 12, just as about to go. So I didn't get out the door till about 10 to 1. So might have broken the speed limit up to Taunton just a wee bit on the way there, but got it. Yeah, 45-minute drive for half an hour's cricket, but perfect it was. And just the last thing on this, then, what a perfect way for that last wicket to go. The fulcrum of the batting, Tom Abel, the fulcrum of the bowling, Craig Overton, combining to seal that final, take that final Northants wicket.
That image of Abel in the air, arm pumping as the wicket was taken, should be on the. Not that we print a yearbook anymore, but if we did, that should be the photo on the front of the yearbook next year, shouldn't it?
Have you got a title for your piece yet, Gibbo? A little conversation on Friday.
It'll be view from the boundary edge.
View from Cow Corner.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Any suggestions as to where the club can accommodate Anthony next season with a slightly better view? Maybe we could crowdfund building you sort of your own sort of proper cabin, little man cave on top of the Thatcher's terrace or something like that. We could, or get you up in one of those cherry pickers.
Yeah, that would be all right. Yeah.
Can I, talking about the commentary, can I just say, I thought Andrew Radd, I've obviously heard him a few times before, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Really, really informative. But the guys were having a conversation on the Friday morning, and it made me quite emotional. And he was saying about the crowd at Taunton and whatever, and he was saying, you come to the crowd as a boy and you come with your parents or whatever and your mates, and then you talk to older people who remember Gimlet, Brian Langford, or whoever the names are. He was reciting names of Northampton players, and this is all tied into that high performance review conversation as well. And I was like, well said. That's exactly what coming to the county ground when I was a kid and a teenager was about. And I thought he's one of those commentators that really appreciates good cricket, reads the game really well, but in a couple of sentences there, he summed up for me what being a county cricket fan, being a Somerset fan was all about. So I'm sure he won't listen to this, but if he did, well done, Andrew Radd, because I thought you were amazing. And it offset, I'm going to be a bit cheeky now, and it offset the cliches that were flowing from the third voice, let's say.
Yeah, he's a very, very nice man, and there is literally nothing that he doesn't know about Northamptonshire cricket.
Yeah, at club level as well, by the sound of it.
Absolutely, yeah. He's a real cricket nut, but a really nice man and very, very knowledgeable. And he does indeed love the sort of spirit of the game, if you like, the essence of county cricket, which is so important to so many people, including, it would appear, Mike Allerton, who's had a conversion on the road to Damascus. Yeah. And is now saying that it's the essence, it's an irreplaceable part of the English summer, the county championship, whereas 3 weeks ago he was saying that the only purpose of the county championship was to supply players for England. So that's a very welcome change of tune.
I think Athers has always kind of been on the light side, isn't he? I think he's one of the sole voices in that Sky commentary box that knows he's the best commentator. He knows he can say pretty much whatever he likes, and he's very unlikely to get sacked. And if he does, he'll just carry on being cricket correspondent for the Times. But
yeah.
So well done, Athers. Anything more on the Northants game then? Oh, should we talk about Mr. 3 for 300? Old Sajid.
Well, he hasn't had much to work with in the way of pitches, to be fair to him. But
Rob Key,
he doesn't
30 overs,
look
4 for 99.
Yeah, he doesn't look like the sort of spin bowler who's going to bowl Somerset to victory in the fourth innings. He doesn't turn it very much. He's not very tall, and what height he does have, he doesn't use very well. But he's a lovely bloke. As I've said before, he reminds me a bit of Don Bess. Same sort of
7 for 17 at Canterbury on Wednesday afternoon.
Well, let's hope so.
Oh, yeah, let's hope so. Because he doesn't speak much English, but I gather he's always very, very polite whenever I see him, and he has become a popular member of the dressing room. So he's a good guy. It'd be nice to see him go back to India with a few. Pakistan, rather, with a few wickets under his belt.
Oh, let's hope so. I mean, we were chatting about this. You said earlier in the week, you said he reminds you of Don Bess, and they did a really good thing on Sky with Don Bess, where they really analysed his release point. Bess was sort of undercutting the ball rather than getting his fingers over the top like somebody like Swan would, and getting the ball really going towards first slip. And I think that's maybe what Sajid's doing. He seems to bowl too quick for me as well. Watching him on whatever day it was, he just seems you can just play him. If it's not turning, you can just play him like a medium pacer.
I think the fact that he bowls his overs so quickly as well. I'm all for getting through overs quickly, but just there seems to be the rhythm is wrong to it, and far be it for me to criticise an international test standard off-spin bowler, but I just wish he'd slow down a little bit and maybe make the batsman think a little bit more, because it must be very easy to get into a rhythm batting against him when it's almost like facing the quickest bowling machine in terms of speed of release of the ball you've got in the club, I would think.
That's why someone like the great Shane Warne, he probably got 10-15% of his wickets just with the theatre of it all, didn't he? Of just slowing the over down, just moving backward point, a few inches this way and then back an inch that way, and just
batsmen think, what's he doing? Why has he done that?
Just making the batsman.
And also, if you're Josh Davey bowling at the other end, it's not a lot of fun, because by the time you walk down to fine leg and walked across to fine leg because the left-hander, right-hander swapped over, you're back at the start of your mark again. It's just... It shortens the spells that people at the other end can bowl quite markedly, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Craig Ovett was only on the 5 over spells. Was it 4 or 5 over spells? But he's gradually making his way back into cricket. Right, are we done? Are we done with Northants now? Should we talk about? Talk about the 2 or 3 other games in Division 1 this week? We were all Gloucester fans on Thursday evening. They chasing 145 to win against Warwickshire, and they just kept losing.
Go on the Shire. Go on, you.
There was a period where on Thursday afternoon, nobody was watching Abel and Lammonby in the middle. Everybody was just glued to their phones and glued to the live streams and Twitter updates and whatnot, and all the chat you could hear was, "Oh no, Dent's out, so and so's out." But then, what was it? 3 wickets to spare they had. And the cheer around the county ground, I've never heard anything like it. I think even a chant of Gloucestershire la 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 might have broken out for a few minutes. And our old friends Essex, eh?
What a shame.
The bite bit.
Losing to Lancashire in, what was it? Just over 4 sessions, wasn't it?
Just over 4 sessions and 33 minutes, I think Polly said, didn't she? Something like that.
And at one point, Lancashire was 6 for 7 in their second innings, or 7 for 6 in their second innings. So that puts it in context to me. How can any team win a game? I'm not going to even ask this of Dan.
Has a team ever won a game from being set? I can see you going around there, Dan, flicking around, looking in Cricket Archive. Has a team ever won after being 7 for 6 in either innings?
I'm not sure it's the kind of thing
I think we can suspect. Certainly not in England. It probably has happened in, somewhere years ago in India or Pakistan or somewhere. It might possibly have happened, but no, it's and obviously I think the ECB's swift reaction to it and the clear way they've made a comment about it being unacceptable is unsurprising.
Well, you never know, because when Somerset got docked points in 2019 for the pitch against Essex, it was a while, wasn't it, before we actually heard we were getting docked, I think. So you never know. We might hear something in a few weeks' time, because it's the cricket liaison officer, isn't it? They're present at every ground. They decide if the pitch is unacceptable or not in consultation with the umpires, etc. So we may hear something. And I feel like this could, it sounds like it was a bad pitch. So it wouldn't surprise me if we do see it rated as, I think, is it below? No, I think it's poor, isn't it? If it's poor, it's docked points. And if it's below average, you can't produce another below average one within the following 12 months. So I think we might see some action this time, finally.
I'll take your word for that, Dan. I'm not really au fait with the pitch regulations. Bring back too many bad memories.
Glenn Chappell certainly wasn't happy on... He didn't pull his punches in what he said after the first day's play, so I was sure that got noticed.
I think he was probably a modicum more happy after the second day, but not by much, I'd have thought, because it's just a joke, isn't it? The way that we've been at Edna's, it just winds me up that they haven't been done for making this.
Let's not forget, it was, although neither were going to win the championship, it was 3rd against 4th, so there was stuff, money, etc., riding on it. It wasn't 2 mid-table teams just playing out the end of season. Maybe, Dan, it's taken a while because Essex haven't reported the pitch yet, as they did, because that's why it took a while back in 2019. Maybe the word processor's not working and finished the letter yet.
I mean, imagine Glenn Chappell would have been on the phone straight away after the end of that game. So it looks very much like Warwickshire and well, Warwickshire really are going to be going down with Gloucester, barring a miracle. Warwickshire have got Hampshire the last game. Obviously, we played Kent. But stranger things have happened. I'm just glad that we are...
Don't rule out Yorkshire being relegated, of course. Not going to lie, I would absolutely love to see Yorkshire get relegated.
So would I.
Why?
Because they're a big county, and to see them end up in Division 2 would just be quite funny.
Well, they've been in Division 2 quite recently, haven't they? Back in...
They were, weren't they? Yeah, for a year.
I mean, we talked in the week about the old HPR and this elite team of 6 at the top, and wouldn't it just be funny if that 6 was Hampshire, Essex, Northants, Somerset, what other?
No, not Hampshire. Hampshire are 100 grand. You...
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm trying to sort of pick.
You're talking about like the most unfashionable.
How many kind of unfashionable counties could we fit in there? Okay, we'll go Surrey and Hampshire. You've got to have in there. Yeah.
Somerset,
Essex, Northants, and Somerset would be the 3, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're the top 6 now, so.
Yeah, exactly, and they'll probably be the top 6 come this time next week as well. So we could potentially finish 5th. If we do finish 5th, would that be a good season, a bad season, an indifferent season, an acceptable season?
I asked Andy Hurry precisely that question, and he said it's been a disappointing season, despite finishing 6th or 5th or whatever it is. And I think that's fair. That poor start cost us dearly. We didn't, they've shown lots of spirit in the recent games, but we were too far behind too early because they didn't seem to be up for it at the start. They had that really tough first month, if you remember.
Yeah. Oh, we remember, Gibber. We remember.
And they just didn't seem to be on it, All right, we missed Renshaw for the first game down at the Aegeus Bowl, but I don't know. They looked undercooked at the start of the season, whereas they really needed to be on it from the very, very first over, and they weren't.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it disappointing.
It's probably the best of the worst outcomes, given where we were. I think you're right, Ian. After the Hampshire home defeat, I think every true Somerset fan who wants, and by that I mean fans who want the team to do well rather than perversely wanting to be able to moan. Every true Somerset fan would have taken where we are now and the finish we've had. I will reserve judgment until after this week.
Breaking news. James Rue has signed a contract extension until the end of... Sorry, I'm just scrolling.
Drum roll.
Another 3 years, I think it says. So that'll be end of 2025.
Excellent.
Great news.
Good. If we win at Canterbury, I will be on the slightly glass half full side, because I think you can take the development of the James Roos and Goldsworthys and the fact that Bartlett seems to have found his mojo and Casey's come through, etc., etc., etc. But at the start of the season, if you'd have said to me, we will avoid relegation the penultimate game and finish 5th, I would probably be, can we fast forward to the next season, please? It's not, I'll be accused of entitlement, but I still think Somerset, the club that we are at the moment, should be looking to be at least competing for trophies. And we didn't this year. We got to finals day, I know, but we need to be either punching above our weight in the 50 over, or we need to be there or thereabouts in the Championship, and we've not been that team this year. So I'm agnostic at the moment.
Yeah.
I think if we beat Kent, we will potentially show that we're almost the best of the rest in a way, because if you look at the table, there's a 30-point gap between 4th and 5th, which maybe shows Surrey, Hampshire, Lancashire, Essex are a class above everyone else. If we beat Kent, or even maybe with a good draw with Kent, we might sneak into 5th, and we'll be away off Essex, but we'll be 5th out of 18 in the country in 4-day cricket, which isn't that bad, really, is it? and we've
and
played.
if Essex get a 50-point deduction down the finish fourth,
well, the deduction, if they're consistent, the deduction should apply to next season, because that's what happened with Somerset. It was the following season.
Oh, that was handy.
But yeah, if we end up 5th out of 18, we've played poorly at times this season for sure, but we'll be able to take a lot of heart from how we played since Southport onwards. Really, we've had all draws, but we've had 5 draws and a win since then. If it ends up as 5 draws and 2 wins in the second half of the season, we can, we'll clearly have improved from the first half, and hopefully we can carry that on into next season and maybe compete a bit better against the top sides, particularly Surrey and Hampshire, because those I think 4 of our losses were Surrey and Hampshire, weren't they? 4 out of the 5 losses.
Yeah.
So there's clearly a gulf there. We need to sort of start closing that.
And also a gulf in what would appear to be the apparent fairness of the fixture distribution as well.
yeah, because we've only played Kent and Northants once.
Kent and Northants once, Yorkshire once as well, I think.
Yeah, it's because the fixture seeding thingy was based on 2019 results rather than 2021 for some reason. But next year's fixture seeding will be based on this year, so should be a lot fairer, I think.
Well, let's hope so. I completely agree. I think from where we were in sort of end of April, mid-May, it's been a phenomenal turnaround. I think, Gibbo, catalysed by you telling Jason Kerr off at the Oval after that defeat.
Yeah, well,
What are you going to do about it? And then that was it. Boom. But joking aside, I think a lot of players' stock has risen this year. Tom Abel's stock has risen. George Bartlett's stock has risen. Obviously, Rue, Goldsworthy. Obviously, sad that Hildy's retiring, but I think that was kind of inevitable for a number of reasons. Lewis Gregory is looking a little bit
Fragile.
Suspect and fragile, yes. I don't know what kind of...
he's got some useful runs for us, though, Gregory.
Yeah.
And I'd play him even if he can't bowl. I'd have him in the side. He's a very, very good cricketer, and he's a much better batsman than his stats would suggest. I think you could argue you could put him higher up, and turn him into a specialist batsman, and then he might concentrate a bit harder. Rather than, as so often, he'll look $1 million and then give it away with one silly shot. If he's a little bit higher up the order, maybe he'd feel a greater responsibility. But several times, up at Edgbaston, that 60 he got there in the first innings when he shepherded the tail, absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
If we'd been bowled out there for 120, we'd have been in serious trouble, because Warwickshire would have won that game. So, I rate Lewis Gregory.
So another batsman to go in that already increasingly overloaded middle order.
Yeah.
The HPR could suggest that we could maybe play with 13 or 14, so we won't have to worry about these selection dilemmas. But mind you, having said that, we were thinking about how to get everybody in the side, and then first game this year down at the Aegeus Bowl, we didn't have anybody else fit who'd played Championship cricket. So you've always got to think of the other side of the coin for that one.
Perhaps we could bring in the concept of a pinch batter. In baseball, they're just getting rid of finally the concept of a pinch hitter. You have not a pinch hitter, designated hitter, somebody who bats but doesn't field. So maybe you could have Lewis Gregory could be our designated batter.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah, but who's the poor bastard that's got to go out and field for 2 days? Well,
no, because you have a bowler. You have a bowler who doesn't bat effectively.
Ah. Well, that'd be a good idea.
Well, they are bringing that into India's domestic T20 competition, the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. They're experimenting with a full substitute from next year. It's a bit different to the Big Bash, where it's more limited in the Big Bash, but the Indian one is going to actually sort of a full substitute at any time. And that might come into the IPL at some point, and then who knows, it might spread beyond. But I'm not sure if I'd want that, but yeah, it's interesting these sort of things are developing.
It feels like we've had a bit of an end of season chat, but there is, of course, the game down at Canterbury this week, an opportunity maybe to a bit of a changing of certain personnel who might be feeling the effects. Shall I go first with my side?
Yeah, go on.
I've got 11. Well, I've got 12.
Wow.
But, Imam, Lammonby, Abel, Bartlett, Goldsworthy, Rue, Roloff at 7, Craig at 8, Jack Brooks or Josh Davey
Yeah, you can
at
be.
9, depending on who's fit. Sajid Khan, and I'm giving a debut to Sonny Baker.
Okay. Did you have Casey in that side? Sorry.
No, I'm giving Casey the week off. He looks knackered.
Yeah, he didn't
Okay.
bowl very well against Northants. But I don't think Craig Overton's going to play. I mean, I think
Oh, Gibbo's frozen. Dan, do you want to jump in? And you're on mute, Dan.
There's a bit of uncertainty, isn't there, around the bowlers? I think, the top six, it'll be the same top six, I think. If Gregory's fit, it always depends on whether Gregory and Overton are fit, because if neither of them are fit, then we've got a very long tail.
Yeah, Gregory's not going to play. That's already been...
Gregory's not playing?
No, that's been confirmed.
Okay, so Overton should definitely play if he's fit, I think, because otherwise, otherwise very long tail. I think Davey should play again. Brooks should be fit, I think, from what he was saying on commentary. Sajid Khan should play. And then, I think it would be worth giving Baker a go as long as the management are 100% confident that he'll hold up throughout the game. Obviously, we don't want to accidentally ruin his recovery. But if they're confident he'll be okay, then
Yes, he played his second team game a couple of weeks. That's kind of why I've got Roloff in there as well, and because you kind of have to... You almost have to play them as a pair, because if you're kind of playing all these sort of seam bowls that you're not quite sure about, whether it's with their ability to last a day, you've got to have as many other bowling options as you can. And Lambie's got a bit of a dodgy here-away ball. Don't know, seemed pretty fit bowling on in the week.
Is there an argument for bringing Banton in for a game?
Well, I think he deserves a chance. His last
Much as I've got a lot of
126.
time for Lewis Goldsworthy, I might bring Banton in at 5.
I think I would. Yeah.
I think we have to be clear to Goldsworthy that he's not necessarily been dropped, but it's more just to give Banton a game, though. I wouldn't want to ruin Goldsworthy's confidence, because he's sort of established himself on the side reasonably well. He's sort of tailed off a little bit in the last few games, but I think maybe worth giving Banton a go.
If Craig is rested, not available, whatever reason, I could see the argument for batting Banton at 5, Goldsworthy at 6, Rue at 7. Because otherwise, as you say, Dan, Lewis Gregory was effectively a specialist batsman in the last game. And then you go Davey, Brooks, Khan, and one of the young seamers. That to me is, and except the fact that maybe Abel and Lammonby have to do a bit of bowling again.
Yeah.
I really want to beat Kent this week, as people won't be surprised to know. I mean, I really want us to beat Kent to cement the highest possible finish we can. But I think it is going to make a big difference in my mind over the winter as to whether this was an okay season or a very disappointing season still.
I think it's going to be very difficult to beat them. I think the pitch will be as flat as the M2, because all Kent need is a draw.
And the forecast isn't brilliant, is it? I don't think.
There's a bit of rain around. I don't think it's too bad, but I'm preparing myself for a long 4 days.
Take the cards, Gibbo. Yeah, I'll just go. That's one of the reasons why I put Roloff in at 7, because you need to have as many bowling options as you can for if the pitches is going to play as we all think it might. So, and opportunities don't rarely come along in the county championship. Certainly for us, where we've got a game with not really nothing riding on it, because it's a Somerset first 11 playing in the county championship. But
Jason Kerr said to me, "You only got 13 or 14 to choose from."
Has he?
Yeah, that's what he said when I asked him about the team for Kent. So I think that's the question mark against Josh Davies' fitness as well. Possibly Tom Lammonby with his ankle problem. I don't know whether they'll decide to rest him.
Put Andy Mead in at the top, maybe.
Absolutely.
If they did that, I reckon they'd get Rue to open, see how he shapes opening.
Oh, it's asking too much of him to keep wicket and open the batting.
We may have
to
delve into the Harding and Ogbourne zone if there's too many injuries to the seamers. I suppose Ogbourne may be the first in line to come in.
You still have a certain Marchant de Lange on the books as well. Ollie Sale as well is still under contract. And of course, a certain Mr. Will Smead as well, who we've not really.
No.
So I mean, we could see the most fantastically random Somerset side take the field at Canterbury tomorrow morning.
We could.
Do you know how many players have played for Somerset this season across all formats?
Yes,
Too many.
Dan, I do. It's about 33.
It is exactly
Yeah.
33, yeah. Which is the most is the most in any season since 2000, I think. Most I know of is I think 31 in 2012 when we had a lot of injuries. This year it's partly been injuries, but it's also the nature of the Royal London Cup these days as well. It's insane how many players we've used, and obviously we had the
We've used a lot.
We've
We've used a lot in the county championship as well, though.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah, and you compare that with Hampshire.
Hampshire probably around about 14.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
Well, let's see if we can get that up to sort of 35, 36 then with our selection.
Yeah.
So that means Leonard, Baker, Harding, and
Well, Leonard's
Leonard's
not fit. Leonard hasn't played.
no.
Who hasn't? Yeah, George Thomas. I think the only players who haven't played for Somerset this year who are on the books, so to speak, is George Thomas and Ned Leonard. No, did Ned Leonard play?
Leonard played.
he
at
played
Hampshire,
the
didn't
first
he?
game. Yeah.
It's just Thomas, I think.
Maybe we could get Amar Verdi back for another game, couldn't we?
Well,
See
we
what George
should
Scott's
sign-
doing. Gloucester have just let George Scott go, so wonder if we'll pick him up or not.
Well, we
Probably
should
not.
sign Dan Moriarty because he has not played for Surrey in the Championship this season, and he's a very good bowler. And Jack, as a backup for Jack Leach, if we can get him, why not?
Yeah, it's a good shout. Get emailing Dan. Right. Let's have a quick run through of what the old... 46 minutes gone already. Thanks for sticking with us, listeners. Right, now this is where people have started having conversations in the Twitter mentions now, and I'm going to be really difficult to find the questions. Where are we? First and then from Alex Vaughan. Will Tom Abel get an England call-up? Are we feeling positive for next year with some good signings? Thank you for the podcast. It's been fantastic. Listen, have a great off-season. Thank you very much, Alex. Glad you're enjoying. I think we are all feeling positive for next season, aren't we? I think the way that this season's kind of been a flip of last season. Last season we started off well and completely fell away and had an absolute nightmare in September. This year the nightmare was in April, carrying on from last year, and we've seen a gradual improvement up to now. And I think everything's kind of moving in the right direction. So
Yeah.
Yep.
feeling
I'm
good.
positive if next season if we can strengthen the bowling.
Still plenty of time. Well, I think on the last few weeks, it feels like we've had like a signing almost every other day. So, extrapolate that up to the end of November, we'll have a squad of about 500 and nobody else will be playing for any other counties.
Trent Bolt signs for Somerset.
Oh, that'd be good.
Oh, that would be good.
Has he just retired from all red ball cricket or just test match cricket?
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
He's not retired fully from anything yet. He's kind of sort of not got a New Zealand contract, but he might play the odd test and the odd game for New Zealand. But yeah, I can't see him playing for us in red ball cricket.
Be nice though. Chris Payne.
I'll put him in the Jake Libby mould and mention him every week going forward now, Dan.
Chris Payne writes, who is your player of the year who is not Tom Abel? Is James Rue nailed on for young player? Bowling attack for Kent. Does Baker make his debut? We've done the last two. I think James Rue is pretty much nailed on for young player, I'd have thought. Not that we're spoiling the golden apples, which we'll get to in a couple of weeks. But yeah, who's the best of the rest apart from Abe's?
Craig Overton, because we've won 3 games that he played in. He's the difference maker. He's the reason he's not player of the season because he hasn't played the whole season for various reasons. But he's, metaphorically and literally head and shoulders above anyone else other than Tom Abel. And it just beggars belief that the England selectors can't see how good he is compared to what else is available. It's just mind numbing. I think I get great credit to Mark Overton for not actually driving to wherever the selection meetings and standing outside banging on the door every time they're picking the side, because I think I would almost.
He needs to go and play
give him
golf
his
with Rob
chance.
Key, Steve. That's what he needs to do.
Well,
apparently, if your
and of
dad
course,
is golfing buddies with Rob Key, opens a lot
you
of
can see
doors.
what will happen over the winter. They'll pick him on a flat, dead track in Pakistan in broiling heat, and then he'll end up with one for 74, and they'll go, "Oh, you say, yeah, there you go," and it'll be it's just criminal. It is criminal. I'm sorry, it just makes me so angry.
To be fair, Ollie Robinson and Matt Potts have done pretty well.
I agree with Dan. Yeah,
I
Ollie
would
Robinson
say-
is at present. He's at Test match level. He's a better bowler than Craig Overton, and it's as simple as that.
But I think
I've got my Overton tinted spectacles on, but I think if Craig was given the chance, given a run, I think he would outperform them. Sorry, I'll beg respectfully to disagree with you.
I kind of agree. I agree with you both there. I think the way Robinson bowled at the Oval, he was absolutely superb. But as you say, Steve, Craig has only ever kind of come in. They've never kind of picked Craig to say, right, you are going to be first change for England for the next 5 tests. Come up, mate. He's always come in, he's gone out, he's come in, he's gone out. So you've never really felt that he's a bit like Jack Leach early on in his career. He was chopped and changed around and never given an opportunity to settle in that side. You never treat a batter like that. So why would you treat a bowler like that when he's making his way early on in his international career? But maybe a few more opportunities to come for both him and Jamie next year, because I can't see Broad and Anderson carrying on for much longer. Although having said that, we'll probably be here in 5 years' time going, well, when Broad and Anderson finally retire, there'll be an opportunity for Craig. But you're absolutely right. He was just phenomenal. Just watching him on Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it was, just made you realise what we've been missing from our bowling attack this year. Mike Underwood is reminding us that we've got to have a golden apple for second 11 player of the year this year. Mike, I'll let you decide that one.
Mike, give us a short list.
Yeah.
If Mike gives us a short list.
James Gaunt says, do we need to expand the Cooper Associates County Ground and go for test match status?
No.
We do need to expand it, though. I was thinking about this because we are going to need the Tom Abel Pavilion and the Craig Owen stand in 10 years' time. So we need to start planning. We need to start planning for that now. Actually, I think we should build a hill on the other side of the ground so that we can have a Craig Overton hill, because I think that would be quite fitting.
Definitely.
So there we go. Gordon, get the architects working already, because you've got to find space. Well, of course, we're going to have the media centre, but we're going to need the Anthony Gibson Media Centre built as well, aren't we? So that's 3 new developments have got to happen.
I thought that was going to be on top of the Botham stand, all done in the winter, but
no, the Anthony Gibson stand media centre is going to be tucked behind the Ondaatje Pavilion, probably, or something.
Outside the museum.
Yeah,
we could have to rig up an elaborate series of mirrors. At Neil B. I don't know, where are we? But we did say, it was a couple of weeks ago, we said it would be nice if they could just sling us a lower grade test match, if you like, Afghanistan or Ireland. I think that'd be fantastic. Get the big temporary stands in.
Yeah,
it would be so well supported.
The Ireland test next year has been given to Lords, because Lords have to have 2 tests a year, apparently, so they're commercial deals. It's a bit annoying, because we did want that, apparently, didn't we? It was a rumour that we did want that Ireland test, but yeah, unfortunately Lords get their way.
Shock. Yeah, I think the only international, we got one of the women's ODIs, ODIs next season. Moving on then. Steve Cole writes, looking on what's happened this season, what improvements on the team staff would you like to see for next season? Well, I think we pretty much discussed the bowling options that we want. Dan wants Trent Bolt.
No, I want Trent Bolt. Dan's pouring cold water on my fantasy there.
Yeah, quality seam bowlers, quality spinners, I think. Martin's probably done there. Neil B wants to know who will be the new bowling coach and overseas next year. Not sure about that one. Unless anybody's got any inside knowledge about who's replacing Steve Kirby, who's off to Zimbabwe fairly shortly.
Nope.
Mark Long, was our survival ever in doubt? Yes, Mark, it very much
Yes.
was.
Yes, and he was. When we were 82 for 7 at Edgbaston, we were looking into the abyss.
And in the chase at Edgbaston as well. There were periods on that last day.
Absolutely. And I
Oh,
agree
God,
with you.
yeah. Harry
Thank
Hayden.
God for Will Rhodes. Thank God for Will Rhodes playing that really stupid shot that he didn't need to play against Jack Brooks. Although Jack explained that it was all a very cunning plot that he himself had worked out, because he knew that Will Rhodes wanted to do that to him. So he produced a delivery that was almost where Rhodes would wanted it, but not quite, and knocked out his middle stump. So well bowled Jack Brooks. Those 2 ball, and then he got Burgess LBW off the inside edge, and that was that. But it could very easily have gone the other way.
Absolutely,
that game.
yeah. I think the Sibley wicket was the big one there, wasn't it? Where he just wafted Aldridge into the leg side.
Yeah, good catch by Josh Davis.
It was a hell of a good catch.
It was. He was right on the boundary rope, and it was hit really hard, and could easily have knocked him back over the boundary, but he stood firm. Good catch.
One from Harry Hayden, who writes, is it time for us to clearly endorse the strong responses from Kent, Essex, Middlesex, etc., re the HPR?
Oh, God.
Oh, can we not go there today? I really want to get the season out of the way. I'm sorry, but I need to recharge my emotional batteries before I've got plenty to say on it, but not at the moment.
Give you a couple of weeks to come off your long run, Steve.
Yeah, please.
I think, but on that specific point, I think Somerset could actually make their position a little bit clearer, because all they did was reiterate the statement they'd already put out, which didn't actually, saying that the number of days cricket at the county ground in July and August was unacceptable. Well, fine, but what are you going to do? How are we going to arrange the fixture list to change that? Which is the big and as so far unanswered question, or at least unanswered satisfactorily.
Just get rid of the 100. It's the cause of and the solution to
this
problem. I know they're not going to, but it's...
Because the thing with the wanting more cricket at the county ground in August is that will not change unless we get a 100 franchise. We might get one Welsh Fire double header one day, but that won't fulfil it. So the only way we could do it is get 100 franchise, but then it'll only still be 4 match days. It will just be, I suppose it'll be 4 match days plus 4 Royal London Cup match days. Or
what about the festival cricket?
The glorified second 11.
Somerset seconds against Gloucestershire and Glamorgan, presumably.
Yeah, presumably the Somerset management would not. Festival cricket would mean maybe 8 days of cricket at the county ground in August rather than 4, but I still don't think that would fulfil what Somerset want. They want.
Let's be honest. You could put 30 days of cricket on at the county ground if it was all crap. You could you could say to 2 touring sides, "Hey, do you want to come and play at the county ground?" And then everybody could go and watch it. It's a day of cricket. It's not, is it? It's watching Somerset. And when you say Somerset, all respect to the likes of Jack Harding and Alfie Osborne, but they are way off the first choice, first 11, and that's what you want to be watching as much as possible, as often as possible.
And attracting youngsters to the game. If you imagine a 7-year-old who sort of followed Somerset cricket a bit, and you say, right, I'm going to take you to the county ground, Somerset playing. They get in the ground, they say, well, where's Craig Overton? Oh, he's playing for Southern Brave. Where's Jack Leach playing for England? Right, Tom Abel, and it's that this is it. You're not going to solve this problem, and Ian's dead right. Unless you get rid of the 100, we are not going to have Tom Abel captaining Somerset in a championship game at Taunton in August. And that's unfortunately the reality we have to live in.
The thing is, I'm not completely against non-championship first-class cricket being played at the same time as the 100, but it's just that the high performance review makes it sound so crap by just making out that it's going to be friendlies and festivals and stuff. Like, it's not perfect, and I know a lot of people will disagree, but one way of doing it, and I've tweeted about it, is that the championship could go down to 10 games, and then you have a second first-class competition, a bit like the Bob Willis Trophy, with an overall final, and that's key, played during the 100 period. That doesn't fulfil what Somerset want, and it would still be 1.511. I wouldn't call it completely second 11. It was sort of 1.511 matches So still wouldn't solve everything, but that's one of the potential options. But the problem is the review makes it sound rubbish. So the county should resist that festival's idea and say that if there's cricket during the 100, a first-class competition played during the 100, it has to be a proper competition with a final. But yeah, it's still not a perfect solution because the 100 is still there. So
I mean, to be honest, you might as well. Well, if you want to call it first class cricket, you can't play the second. You can't kind of upgrade the second 11 championship to the main grounds and kind of play your non-100 sort of regular championship, non-100 first team players in it. It's oh dear. We're back to doing this again every week. we sit at about the 55-minute mark. We seem to get into a discussion about the schedules. I'm knocking that on the head. Right. Couple more questions then. Last one from Tim Knight. Is it time for the club to propose a vote of no confidence in the ECB? Not just because of the so-called high performance review, but also because of their incompetent stewardship of the game for the last 20 years. Tim says, in brackets, the answer is yes, by the way. Well, so I saw somebody put something on Twitter. There was a clause in the Articles of Association or the Memorandum of Association of the ECB, whatever it is. It says something like, the ECB, as their custodians, in their role as custodians of the game, will only ever act in the best interest of its county stakeholders, or words to that effect, which they haven't done. Well, you can argue it either way, whether they have done it or not. It's all semantics with the introduction of the 100, therefore degrading the value of county cricket, but also saying, well, we're going to give you 1.3 million a year from it, or whatever that figure is. So I don't know. Would we stick our necks out?
I don't think a vote of no confidence in the ECB is going to make any significant difference, other than to make Somerset even more unpopular in the corridors of cricketing power. I think Gordon Hollins and Sir Michael Barber will want to have maximum flexibility when it comes to negotiations. That would be me anyway.
Yeah, same here.
You've got to win some arguments, and you're not going to win some arguments by saying you lot are blooming useless and you should be.
The thing is, with the new chairman now, I think the counties are going to see how it goes for a bit with Rich Thompson being the chair, and they're going to try and work together, I think. But a lot of the counties have really come out against the high performance review proposals, so it's going to be interesting over the next few weeks. Like at the moment, it doesn't look like they're going to get passed. There are too many counties against.
Steve's got to shoot off. I don't blame you, Steve.
No, sorry guys.
One this week.
Right, catch up with you soon.
Cheers, Steve. It's all right.
See ya.
Cheers, Steve.
Yeah, it's been an overwhelmingly negative response, almost unanimously negative to the HPR. So should we properly digest it? Maybe we could do a special on it and absolutely dissect it to the ribbons. But that's for another day. Right, anything else then? So the boys are off to Kent this week. All the player awards at the ground on Friday night. I've got my tickets for that. Tickets available for that from the Somerset website. Only £50 for members, which is a pretty decent deal. Got that down from last year. So looking forward to that. Any other business, gents?
Western Storm played their last Rachel Hayflint game last Sunday. I think that was after your last recording.
Yeah.
And they won. I was there. They beat Thunder at Old Trafford. So they finished fourth in the table, which is a decent result. They won all three of their away games and lost all three of their home games, which is unusual. And there was also no result away because of the Queen's passing. But yeah, a solid season for Western Storm. I think Danny Gibson is close to an England call-up. And I think Sophia Smale, she's well in the 100 as well. She's come on, she's done brilliantly this season. From making a debut at the start of the season, doing really well in the 100, she's done pretty well for Western Storm as well. So she's definitely going to be in the England selectors' minds. I think she'll be in and around the A team, I think, soon. So yeah, quite a few positives, I think.
That's the final today, isn't it? Probably started about 7 minutes ago.
She just started, yeah.
That was on the telly as well. A few people asked about what we thought of Deepti Sharma. Running out Charlie Dean backing up yesterday.
I love a Mankad, and I was delighted. I mean, I was sad that he lost, but I found it hilarious personally.
I think it should have been given not out because she was pretending, and she was faking the bowling when and deceiving the batter into thinking that she was going to bowl, and then not bowling.
Well, there is an argument. Yeah, somebody put that. Does it come under that fake fielding law?
Yeah, I think it should.
Deceive, but
yeah.
Anywho, we've done an hour and 10 minutes. I don't think we're going to start debating Mancadding at the moment because we could probably go on till lunchtime. And I, for one, need another cup of coffee. Gents, it's been a pleasure as always. Best of luck to Tom Abel and the boys down at Canterbury. Safe journey, Gibbo. We'll be tuning in during the week. And yeah, I think we shall reconvene sometime next week for the Golden Apples.
All right. See you then.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Ciao.
Bye.